Yes. So welcome back to the new video. So today we'll solve user activity for the past 30 days problem. Problem number 1141. What we are given is the activity table that holds the corresponding columns. User ID, session ID, activity date, activity type. The table may have duplicate rows. The activity type column is of NM category. N basically. So when you're declaring any column as a type NM basically means you need to specify the values that column will contain. So here they have specified the column will contain only four values, that is open session, end session, scroll down, send message. That's it. The table shows the user activity for social media website. Okay, note that each session belongs to exactly one user. What we need to find out is you have to write a solution to find the daily active user count for a period of 30 days ending 27/7/2019. So first we have to get the time frame for 30 days basically in which the ending date will be 27/7/2019 inclusively. The user is active on some day. So what is the definition for active user? The user is active on some day if they made at least one activity on that day. So at least one activity if the user is making basically from the given set of activity, open session, end session, scroll down and send message, then the user is considered as active. You can return the result table in any order. Let's see the example. So activity table basically here you can see that we have four unique user with the user ID 1, 2, 3, and 4. Basically. Now let's consider basically what was the date. So 27/7 basically was the date, seventh month. It was seventh month. So these whole records will be used basically because they are on the seventh one. This record, 6 month record will be not used basically just because it's not satisfying the condition for 30 days period ending 27/7/2019. So this record will be excluded. We are only considering two records over here basically. That is record with the activity date as 27/2019 and 21/7/2019. So for let's consider for this 27/2019 basically. Here you can say that basically we have two users. So active user count will be two just because they have an activity type. It's open session, scroll down, end session, open session. So any of the if the user is performing any at least one activity on that day is considered as an active user. So here only two users are performing, so it will two. For 21st 7 2019 basically. Also we have two users basically and they are performing at least one of the activity. So they are counted as active user basically. So for 27 2019 we have a two active user. For 21/7 2019 we have two active users. Note that we do not care about the days with zero active users. So there could be a condition where the user user is not active basically just because user is not performing any activity. So we have to exclude those records basically from this table. Basically. So how will write the query? So first of all, we will select your activity date basically that will be written as day. So activity underscore date. So this will be written as day basically. Second thing we need to find out is how many unique user ID we have. That will return the active user count. Count of distinct user ID. This will give us the unique count for user. So that will be written as active users from which table we are getting this from the activity table. Okay. Then we have to use a filter condition where the activity date should be in a time frame of 30 days, including this date. That is 27/7/2019. So for this, basically, we'll make sure that activity underscore date is between. So it's between your. So we'll use a function date sub. It will subtract the date from us for us. Basically. So we want to subtract from this date, that is 2019 07 127, we have to subtract the interval of 29 days. So we get the date subtracted from this date. So 29 days from this date, we get a subtract and we get the value for that date. See, date, and we use the and condition over here and the corresponding date. Basically, what is happening over here is that basically we are using this because we want this date to be inclusive. So we are using this date basically, and we are subtracting from this date 29 days basically. So after subtracting, what date will be there basically, it will be replaced by this whole code over here. So it will be replaced. So when you and we are using, so we want this date to be between anywhere between the starting date and the end date will be 27/7/2019. So this will represent the 30-day period for our code. And we need to group it by your activity date because you want it for each activity date. And we use a having clause also over here just because we want the user ID, the unique user ID count should be greater than 0. So when we run this query, so query got accepted. Desired output matches with the corresponding expected output. So what we have done, first of all, what we needed basically, so we needed 30 days time frame with this date as the ending date. And over the 30 days time frame, we want what is the count of active user basically on that day basically. So user is said to be active if he has done at least one of the activities. So what we needed basically, we needed a day, that is the activity date basically. So we are used as a day, and we need a count of unique user ID as the active user basically from the activity table. And here we use a filter condition where your activity date basically should be between this range. So this is the range that we are defining of for the date column basically. So the ending range is this 27/7/2019. And from this 27/2019, basically we are subtracting 29 days. So we'll get so when we subtract this, but we will get the value somewhere between 6 months, basically 6 months 2019, and that value of date and this value of date will represent the 30-day time frame. Within that 30-day time frame, we are checking if the activity date is within that 30-day time frame. And we are grouping it by the activity date because we want it for each activity date, basically. And here we are using a having clause just because we want to filter the table, basically, if the for a particular date there is an active number of users. So note that we do not care about days with a zero active user. So we only want record basically where the active user count is greater than one for the corresponding day. So that's it. Thank you.